Welcome back to Drive Your Thoughts podcast. I'm your host, Master Coach Carrie Marshall, and it's time to go after those goals.
Yeah, whether ready or not, life's coming hard, no breaks, no stop. And if you put me on the spot, don't get it twisted, I never drop. If you feel a bit out of control and out the box, here's a way that you could drive your thoughts. Turn this podcast on, it's a lock. Carrie Marshall on the clock.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. So I know a lot of you maybe have some experience with AI. That's just kind of what we're, the forecast, the landscape, whatever you want to call it, that we're at right now, where AI is now actually being included in our everyday life. Maybe some of you haven't gotten there yet, and that's okay. But today, what I want to kind of talk about is creativity and artificial intelligence. So for anybody that doesn't know, let's start at the very beginning. Mom, listen up. This is for you. So AI means artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence can be a lot of different things. It can be visual, it can be written, it can be a lot of different things in that area. But basically, artificial intelligence is telling us that something else is helping us out, creating something. So for instance, if we took a visual, I could pop in a couple photos of me and then ask AI to come up with thousands of other pictures of me. It could put me on the moon. It can change everything about me. It can make me an alien, or it can just do like, hey, make these realistic. I want a business photo shoot, and AI can do that. So I've been using AI pretty much every single day since I got access to it in November, I think it was. And I've been using ChatGPT. So for anybody that doesn't know, ChatGPT is going to be kind of the written version. So you can plug in think about anything, really. You can ask it to write a fiction book. You can ask it to write a systems manual for your business. You can ask it to come up with mission, vision, and values, but you can also ask it to come up with your grocery list if you want to. And so when we're talking about this today, as I was sitting there and using ChatGPT for one of my projects, I thought about creativity. You know, creativity is really important for me and my clients because it's one of the ways that we actually de-stress. It's one of the ways that we work on our thoughts and beliefs about ourselves. It's a way to allow ourselves to unwind, but also most of the time when we're being creative, it actually unlocks a different part of your brain. And so with all the brain science that we have, creativity has become like required almost for a healthy mental state. Okay. So why does creativity and AI come into this? Well, today when I was thinking and working on AI, working on chat today, I realized something. There's such a big difference between me being basically the user of AI versus me going out and creating my own version of what I was doing, right? So let's take creative writing, for instance. If I'm doing creative writing on my own, and let's say I'm going to write a science fiction book, okay, I need to come up with so many different things. I need to come up with worlds and people and things and, what's the conflict and what's happened? And do I need to describe aliens or the language that they speak? And so as you can see, as we kind of start to talk this through, there's going to be a really big difference when I'm creating this by myself versus when I go to AI and ChatGPT and I say, hey, chat, can you make me 1,000-word science fiction essay? You can use whatever worlds, maybe some aliens are in there, but like create that. So what have I done? I've given AI prompts to create for me. There's a very big difference when we're talking about using AI to create things versus having actual people, you yourself, go out and create something. Last night, after my daughter got her homework done, she just started to sketch. She's actually a really brilliant artist. And so she just sat there and she was sketching. And I kind of walked in to see, oh, is she done? When is she going to get done? It was kind of late. So I was like, we got to get her in bed. She's got school tomorrow. And so I walked in and I said, hey, are you all done with your homework? And she goes, yeah, I'm done. I just needed to sketch for a minute. I was like, oh, why? What's up? And she goes, I said, is it for your homework? And she goes, no, I just needed to sketch. Like I just spent so much time doing homework. I just need to kind of like de-stress for a minute. And so she was just sitting there sketching. And I thought about that this morning. I was like, as I was on AI, I was like, as I was on chat, I was like, she could have just like put in, to a chat visual thing, like, hey, could you draw me up some of these images? And it could have been done. So let's just kind of talk about the intersection here of technology and creativity. When we're using technology, I actually believe that we should be utilizing technology. And when it comes out, I really believe that it's like almost our right and our duty to actually go out and then figure out how to make this beneficial for us. And so, for instance, I'm helping one of my clients with a book, and he's very willing to use AI. He wants to learn how to use it to the best of his ability. And so him and I have been bouncing things back and forth. Like, hey, did you know that chat can do this? And did you know that you can put in a style and that chat will actually like shift to that? And did you know you can do this and this? And so him and I have actually accelerated our growth by basically collaborating together and with another guy that we're doing it with. And so that's been really beneficial for us. But what I've noticed is that it takes down my creativity when that's how I'm creating books. My creativity is not fully functioning and active when I'm just sending prompts to AI. And so when we talk about the difference between AI and creativity, I think that we need to realize that creativity still needs to be a really big part of our lives. I know that it's going to be so beneficial and that we're going to start to see, Post Malone actually talked about this on the Joe Rogan podcast. And he was talking about how he knows that AI is going and has already started to create music. And he said, and honestly, the music might be better than what I can do. Because he said, you could ask AI to create music that is specifically for you in my voice and about a certain topic. So he's like, can you imagine me singing a certain song to a certain somebody about what they're going through in their life? He's like, that's incredible. And he's like, but that also is going to get up against us as humans creating things. Because if AI can do it better, why would we then do this? And what we're going to see is we're going to start to see creativity decline. And so my goal today is to create a space where we can say, as much as I want you to use technology, and I myself use technology, I also want to encourage you to protect your creativity. We need to be willing to still, regardless of whether you can sketch better with an AI model than yourself, I want to challenge you to still go out and create. We're going to see basically AI and this type of technology take over all avenues of life. It's not just going to be for something like writing a book. We're going to see that AI is going to want to take over. You're going to have bots that can go out and hunt for you or fish or, all of these different things that we're like, oh yeah, I do that as a hobby. We're going to start to see that take over where you're going to start to have systems or AI that can help you do any type of hobby that you have. And so the reason that we talk about this is we want to know when it's beneficial and when we actually just need to go out and do the thing for ourselves because we're wanting to tap into creativity. We're wanting to have the human experience, which is creating things. I can't stress enough how important your creativity is and how you really need to protect our right and ability to create. I have a friend that surfs, and he was talking to me about this new system that actually will propel you so that you can catch a wave faster. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And he's like, yeah, it is interesting. And he said, but it's interesting to watch sometimes how people will start to use it and then how they get lazy, and he's like, part of the actual process and experience of surfing is like paddling out. And he's like, you have to dive down underneath the wave or, go up over it. And he's like, it takes some effort to get out there. And he's like, so when people get out there, you're like, yeah, you're out here. And then they catch a couple waves and you're like, oh, okay, you should be here. And he's like, but now if we have people propelling themselves out there, propelling themselves onto the wave, like, what's the point? And I just kind of see that with like creating things. Yes, we can create amazing paintings and pictures and photos and books and essays and all of these things using AI. But then what's the point? We have to get back to creating things ourselves. And so let me just kind of walk you through the process for myself, because I think it is important to kind of walk through. So whenever I have a client that comes and wants to work with me, I ask them about AI because now it's just part of our process, right? And so I'll ask them, do you want me to use ChatGPT, prompts, all of these different things? And then I just kind of talk to them about it. It's going to go faster. You might have, more succinct topics. We'll still have to play around with it. They're still editing. They're still creating a little bit that's going to go in it. But basically, it's going to be created by ChatGPT. So I have some clients, like my one that I'm working with right now, that's like, yes, I want all of my content besides my own stories created there. And then we can go in and infuse my own stories. And we're even to the point of like having him just, put in stories or me put in his stories into chat to see like, does it create a better story? So I'll use ChatGPT, like I said, on a daily basis, but then I also have carved out time on a daily basis to write my own things because I don't want my own creativity going by the wayside because I'm creating with AI. And that's what I want to encourage all of you to do is I want to encourage you to do the things, go out and create how you want to. But I really want you to remember that one of the most sacred times that you can have is creativity and creating things. Do it messy, do it wrong, make it an elementary school. I'm so terrible at any type of art at all. Watercolor specifically. And like I said, my daughter loves it, but I really, anytime that she's like, do you want to do this with me? Or, I've gone and done a class. I don't tell myself that somebody else can do it better. I already know that. But what I do tell myself is that this is my opportunity to unlock that part of my brain and just create something. Keep your creative space sacred. Keep your creating time locked in. Put boundaries around it. If you can, I want you to remember that that is part of being human, is being able to create things. And it doesn't matter the quality right now. We're able to do so many different things because we create things. Like I said, it's a de-stressor. It helps us process emotion and process our thoughts and ideas when we're actually creating something. Go out. If you're doing a hobby, like instead of, propelling yourself out to the surf, like spend the time and energy it takes to do it yourself. There's a time and place for everything, but I can see on the horizon that what we need to do is actually really, really guard our creative time. I know that this wasn't about goals today necessarily, but like I said, I can see this on the horizon and it actually does give me pause because what I'm seeing that what we're going to have is a decline in human creativity and that's actually going to have an impact on our mental health and how we're all doing and operating together. How we perceive the world is going to change if we don't have creativity happening in our lives. Now, I'd love to continue this conversation because it is just an introduction to what, kind of like I said, I see on the horizon. And so I'd really love to see a couple of different things. Let's, of course, continue this conversation over at Instagram. But what I want to talk to you about on Instagram today, after you listen to this podcast, whenever you listen to it, is how are you going to create a safe space for your creativity? How are you going to really make sure that you're spending the time to create things? And then also, how do you use AI? You know, as a writer, I've kind of told you a little bit about how I use it, but then how do you use it in your life? Thank you so much for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for listening to this podcast episode. If you're ready to get in the driver's seat of your own life, you can come and follow me at Drive Your Thoughts Coaching on Instagram, or come and see more ways to work with me at driveyourthoughts.com.
Yeah, whether ready or not, life's coming hard, no breaks, no stop. And if you put me on the spot, don't get it twisted, I never drop. If you feel a bit out of control and out the box, here's a way that you could drive your thoughts. Turn this podcast on, it's a lock. Carrie Marshall on the clock.